G'day and welcome back for more Space Engineer Survival, and the first thing I'm going to do is work on the upgrades for the sandbag. And one of the things I'm going to need to do to fix up the sandbag is incorporate this block into its new blueprint. So when I've finally welded this thing up, I'm going to make sure that that block is something that's already there, as that will save me a bit of effort when printing these out from a setup like this. There are a few things I'm going to add as commands to the new sandbag, and that's going to require a fair few timers. I've got an idea of where we can hide 6 timers on the sandbag, and that's in the space just next to where the landing gear are. So we'll pop those in once we've got this built. I figured it was easier to upgrade one that's in here just rebuilt than it would be to go grab a sandbag that's out there and try and lift it up and then edit underneath. This way, this is already raised and I can work underneath it easily, which is a big advantage. The other things I've got to, so some of the commands that I've got to set up on the sandbag are things like controlling the turrets remotely to turn them off, controlling the landing gear, controlling the parachutes. So we'll start setting that up as soon as I have this welded. And once we've got a proper sandbag set up, then we can start replacing the ones that are out there and finally get on to salvaging. I'm hoping I can get most of this done today. I suspect I probably won't get it all, but ideally I would like to have the sandbag fully upgraded, the design work that I think needs to happen on the grinder pit, including a very obvious thing that I totally missed. And the thing that I totally missed was I've got a hole that has 4 blocks as one of its dimensions. I can cover it with airtight hangar door blocks. That's going to be so much neater. So that is what I'm going to do. I'm going to replace the silly hangar door thing, as I've got an idea of making that space behind the pit look interesting with the use of a sort of control setup up there. That should look pretty nice and will be a fairly good use of that space and allow me to have all that front area clear for when I have my transport vehicle complete. Timer blocks. We need to have quite a few of them on this, and it's these spots here that I think will suit quite well. So if we go timer, 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 and then same here, timer, timer, timer. Then our programmable block can go in here. And I was given a very good idea, which I quite like, which is to put some lights on the sandbags to indicate whether the turret is on or off. And my original thought had been, I'll put green lights for on, red lights for off, and that'll make it all nice, but you know what? I'm just going to go with red lights only. And the reason I want to go with just red lights is I've made this thing green in a very pathetic effort at camouflage. Why would I then put bright green lights on it? At least the red lights for when it's off have a function, so it's clearly not going to do anything defensive while it's off, so I may as well be able to see it so that I can find it quickly. 6 timer blocks, 1 programmable block, and the programmable block is going to have a name change first. Sandbag PB receive, and we are going to edit. We're going to browse workshop. We're going to wait, and then we're going to type transmit. Okay. And this will be is transmitter false. And I'm going to set this up correctly this time, rather than the first time I tried to use this script where I made an absolute mess of it. We're going to type in sandbag. What is that thudding? Is it coming from there? Might be coming from that thing. That's annoying. Alright, we're going to go back and we're going to type sandbag. We're going to assign the programmable block. And now we're going to turn off broadcasting. I don't want broadcasting on for the sandbags. Wait, why didn't that turn off? That should have turned off. Alright, let's disconnect this from the base and see if that changes the behavior. Aha! Now it's off. That's weird. I wonder why that stayed on when it was in the... I wonder if that had something to do with being on the same grid as another antenna that can transmit. I'm very confused. But basically, the reason I want these off is the screen clutter you can see right now. Have a look at how many of these are from sandbags. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and we're planning on building more of these. It's gonna get so annoying and so cluttered having all of this here. So that's why I want them off. But because of the transmit receive script, I can actually turn them back on again if I need to access the sandbag to do something with it. Before I forget, I'm going to place that there so that I can have that block placed every time I grind it, replaced every time I grind it out without having to place it manually. So in our control panel, we now have a bunch of timer blocks. The first timer block we are going to call turrets off, and I'm using plural because I want to remember that this command will command all of my turrets, not just the one on one particular sandbag. Turrets on. And I want these as separate commands as well. The reason being, if I was in a situation where I was only able to switch off half of them, and then I moved, and then was able to switch all of them on and off, if I had just a switch on-off command, I'd then be stuck switching half of them on, half of them off, half of them on, half of them off. Whereas if I have just a straight on and a straight off, I'll have better control in that circumstance so that I can make sure that they are all on. So what we are also going to do, we are going to set up our interior lights to have a nice big radius, and they're going to be red. And this will be Sandbag. Actually, let's go Z. Lights, Sandbag, warning. Save. And show blocking terminal off. And now we can set up our on and off. So turrets on, setup actions. What will happen with turrets on is the Gatling turret will be switched on, and the warning lights will be turned off. Then for turrets off, the opposite. And that's that setup. Next thing on here, we are going to create a group for the Sandbag parachutes. Save. Show blocking terminal off. And we are going to set this to be called Sandbag parachute deploy. And this one is going to groups. Probably didn't need to create a group, but oh well. We're going to have open. So we've got turrets on, turrets off. We've got landing gear control. We've got parachute control. And lastly, we need a broadcast on and off for the antenna. Unfortunately, we can't do a broadcast on, broadcast off without using programmable blocks, which is a bugger. But, oh well. We are going to just have to live with it. So this will be Sandbag broadcast. Okay, and that should be everything. We've got a spare timer block if I want to do anything later. And I feel like now I should point out something else, which is a suggestion that was given to me. And I do think it would be nice to be able to do, but I'm just not sure it's going to work for this version of the Sandbag. And that was to set up a connector somewhere on here so that I could rearm and reload it much more easily. You could possibly put a connector here. It does actually fit, but it doesn't look so great. and it would be very difficult to lock onto with a rearming thing. My other thought was to put it actually directly underneath the battery and kind of have the legs so they come down at a diagonal so that it raises the turret up above the terrain a little bit. And that would be really cool if we later build a version of the Sandbag that can be dropped from a large ship. So that would actually create a real use for the parachutes, since you'd be dropping the whole thing upside down, deploy the chutes, and then it'd right the whole Sandbag, which would be kind of cool, but not really something I'm ready for yet. Before I create the blueprint, much like last time, let's arm and fill with parachute canvases. So let's grab some of them, let's grab some of them, and we'll fill this thing up, and then we'll create the blueprint. Now that we've got that done, we'll press Shift K, we'll get into the base terminal, we'll go to our projector for the Sandbag, blueprints, Sandbag, forward defense turret. Okay. And now, if we move this back like that, no manual handling involved now. I can just weld this from the Buttercup. The only manual handling is the loading of the ammunition, which is kind of cool. If I set up if I could set up the projector in a different spot, I reckon you could probably make the link out of small conveyors and then just grind that off and have it link directly to the turret, have the turret be the first part. That way you'd potentially even be able to load this thing up straight away. And that would be our way to get a proper printer. So instead of having us linked over here, we would have, say, a block coming down this way. If we use the little conveyor tubes, not the big ones that I'm holding right now, but the little ones come downward and then have a little curve at the bottom to join onto there and just grind that away each time. That could totally work. Yeah, and then they'd be auto-loaded when they're manufactured. That'd be kind of cool. Now, we need to set up the ugly duckling so that it can control this new Sandbag. And I have an idea with the ugly duckling that I want to do. Its hotbars are a hot mess. They are just all over the place. I think I'm going to leave the first two. I can't even... Oh, the vector thrust. Why do I have vector thrust on this? We're going to tidy this up. Transmit will be hangar doors. I think it's base hangar doors. Can't really remember. Let's check. Static grid, terminal, timer block hangar door. Whoops. Maybe I should shorten that to TB. This is going to get very confusing very quickly. I need to come up with a naming convention that I stick to. I keep changing it every time. Let's call this base TB, because I keep going with that sort of thing, and then hangar door. That's good. Now, control bar 2. This is one I'm going to need to stick to my planning for. And this is going to be the hotbar for controlling the deployment of the sandbags. So, we are going to have, first up, run with turrets off. No, turrets on. Turrets on. Run. Turrets off. Then, what do we want? We want run. Sandbag. Oh, what did I even call that? I'm gonna have to go back into the sandbag and check. Can't even remember what I called the transmit. Sandbag broadcast. Okay. So we've got sandbag, broadcast, landing gear, parachute, deploy. So we're going to set all of those up exactly the same way, and I'm going to jump ahead to when that's done because it's going to drive you guys nuts having me go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth, which is pretty much what I'm going to do because I'm going to keep forgetting what I'm doing. Especially if I'm talking while doing it. So we got turrets on, turrets off, and we'll get the rest of them set up now. I just realized a problem with the way I've set up the parachute deployment. It's going to make every sandbag, even the ones that are sitting still, deploy their parachutes. So, I am going to have to change how this works. Instead of being open, what we are going to do is we are going to set it to auto deploy on or off. And hopefully, yeah. So auto deploy height's nice and high. Hopefully this will work. With the way I'm going to be having so many sandbags next to each other, I really do need to be mindful that each command is not going to be incredibly wasteful when applied to all of them at once. Or broken when applied to all of them at once. So here we go. On our hotbar, we have turrets on, turrets off, transmit on, transmit off, landing gear switch lock, the ugly ducklings landing gear switch lock, and parachutes auto deploy. Excellent. That should be nice and workable. Now we can test out some of these. We can go turrets off and the lights come on, turrets on and the lights go off. We can set transmit on and we can see the antenna, transmit off and it goes away. Can't really do anything with the landing gear or with the auto deploy, but that is working. So we're going to have to replace that blueprint. I am pretty happy with that sandbag. Let's go deploy it and we'll take it to the spot where the other one, well, we'll take it to the spot where the one that it was recycled from was taken. So that's the mountaintop directly above the base. And away we go. I am going to test the auto deploy. I know I don't need to for this. And I probably don't really need the parachutes at all. It was more of a... It would be nice to have these set up so that they have a little more flexibility sort of thing when I put them on there. But we're going to test it anyway. So, turn auto deploy on because we are currently still, so that should be safe. We're going to unlock. And then it should drop and hopefully the parachutes will deploy. And in 3, 2, 1, unlock, move! Yeah! Ah, it worked. Phew. I was really worried. Now, did I just drop that over the cliffside? Oh, I think I got very, very close. Oh, I got very, very close. I thought I was much further inland than that. Oh well. That actually worked out pretty well. Sweet! Wait, is that... That's part of that other sandbag. Well, let's bring that home. And now we can, again, test the off. It's not so visible in daylight when the red lights are on, but at night time it should be very, very clear. Turret on. Transmit. Transmit off. Yeah. Now we've just got to replace every single sandbag with one of them. Ugh. With the sandbag properly upgraded, I'm going to finish off this grinder pit here. Well, at least mostly finish it off. And the first thing I am going to do is get rid of this silly door design. I normally really like complex, but I was suggested something that I really should have seen right from the beginning. If I have airtight hangar doors here, I open up all of this space back here to be my control suite. So what I'm thinking is maybe like a walkway down this side. So we wander down, we can then walk up a little set of stairs, have our control bay up here, and with our control bay up here, we can also have a little doorway that goes down here and opens up into a little spot where we can see under here. So if we dig through a little tunnel, we might be able to have somewhere that we can view what's going on with the grinders. There's another upgrade I want to do with the grinders, and can I fit anywhere? I think I can fit through here. Uh-oh. This might have been a mistake. Yep, that's a mistake. I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not going to try and fit through there. Basically, what I'm also thinking of doing is putting a bunch of extra grinders vertically, and a few people suggested this. I think someone even suggested it, and I misunderstood their suggestion, not realizing that this is what they meant. And so now that I've understood it, I think it's a great idea. But basically put some grinders vertically at the back of the grinder wall. That way, as the grinders reverse back to their original position, they'll grind away pieces of stuff that's left behind like this and prevent the grinder wall from getting stuck on them and damaging itself, which would be really good. Another idea I was suggested, I'm not going to do, but I think it would work pretty well. If instead of setting this up with a grinder wall, I set this up with a pusher wall and had this part of it at an angle with a slope that went a fair way down to a vertically arranged grinder wall, so with the grinders facing upwards, we could just dump stuff, have it slide down into the grinder pit, and then it'd all be quite simple. That would be pretty cool, and you could definitely do that as a compactor design, where instead of having this wall, we just have a full cube of blocks, so it pushes across, sits there. Once the grinders have finished grinding everything, then it retracts back and we can dump more down. That would actually be pretty fun to set up. Be an interesting challenge trying to make it sit nice and flush, and you would have pieces flying around like crazy in that area. But hopefully with the voxels and with the wall being far enough back, you would be able to get away without having chunks flying across your base. And if I'd thought of that idea, I may well have pursued it. But we've got this now, and I don't really want to have to redo it, so I'm going to work with what we've got. And the first thing I want to do is redesign this hole so that we can get the airtight hanging doors in here. And I'm going to start by redoing these edges. I want to have a slight slope leading down into it. So that means I want these blocks not in green. I'll start with white, but I think I will recolor them in some sort of warning red and black, or yellow and black, or something like that. So we'll go with these. Like so. Then, don't need the heavy armor at the moment, so I'm going to pop light armor inverted corners. So pop these in each corner, like so. That'll give us a little bit of a sloped look. And then immediately one row down from this will be our airtight hanging doors. So that's going to be the edge of our pit. And what I'm going to eventually put around it is some of these. So we'll have some railings on the edges. Got to have some OH&S. And ultimately our control suite up there. But what we need to now place is our airtight hanging doors. Whoops. Thought I could get away with drilling that bit. Apparently not. If I go with... whoops. That. Along here. That should look completely covered from the top. The heck was that? Wait, that wasn't my sandbag exploding, was it? Whoa, what happened over here? Why did all that explode? Oh, I must have placed a separate grid. One of the blocks must have been placed in the voxel accidentally. That is super weird. That just exploded out of nowhere. So let's grab our airtight hanging doors. And we're going to place them like this. Da, 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 da. Actually, I should probably drill that out. Don't need that tiny bit of rock there. Just looks silly. Something else that I should have thought about when I was drilling out my hole last time is I really should have used a basic drill, because it does make a tiny little bit of a smaller hole, I think. And then I could have gotten things even more accurate. It would have taken me about 3 days to drill it out, but could have gotten things really accurate. And that will be our airtight hanging doors. Nice. Because welding these up actually takes a huge amount of components, I am going to do it with the buttercup. Since we've got the door in place now, let's just set it up in our control panel. We'll go to hanger, airtight hanger doors. These will be base, grinder, pit, doors. Save, show blocking terminal off. And now we can close. And now, once these are finished closing, I will not be able to fall in the pit. Oh yes, the sloped armor blocks do cover it up perfectly. Haha, it works. My plan, my devious plan. What color should the doors be though? So if we've got yellow, what do the doors look like yellow? Maybe. What we'll do is we'll go yellow, 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 yellow. Maybe I'll do the armor blocks underneath these as well. But let's grab a dark... no saturation. Let's bring that up a little bit. This is a little bit of detail, so it's not fully just black. More like a charcoal. Let's try that. Looks a bit funny, but I'm going to leave it. I'm going to see if it grows on me. I'm going to see if the bumblebee paint job grows on me. I was briefly very tempted to paint the whole thing green and call this Oscar the Grouch, because it is a trash bin. But I decided against that. And I don't really know what color I would have to make this to make it a Sarlacc pit, but that was another thought. No, not what I wanted to paint. I kind of like it. I kind of like its over-the-top warning nature. Now, bear in mind, right now, we have a lot of light here that we won't necessarily have at the end. We've got so much light that everything's really bright, which makes this coloring look even more prominent. When it's darker, this will look a bit more subtle, I think. Maybe that's just me hoping. But I suspect this will look better with proper lighting done. Okay, there we go. Nice big warning signs. Now what do I need for building those railings so we can place them in now? So I think that'll be a nice touch to do now. I need a couple of construction components. There are a couple of things I've got to think about with the placement of these railings. I could place them on this block, or I could place them on this block. If I place them on this block, it'll give me room to place lights around here as a warning thing for when the doors are... when the grinders are active. If I place it on this block, it'll give me room to build more stuff around the edges and do more design stuff. So I'm in a bit of a conundrum as to which is the right way to do it. And I think what we'll do, since I want to build my control suite up there, maybe... oh no, I won't be able to do that. I was going to say if I build my lights on the side here, but I want to do my lights like I've done over here, which means I need to have this row completely clear. So I'm going to have to put my lights on here. Oh well. Let's place them on the black ones. I have a feeling I'm not going to be able to finish off this design because I don't think I have enough iron. Let me just check before I get too excited. Or if I should start planning my next iron run. Iron. We have... well, we're getting a few plates. We've got 8,000 iron saved. That's not very much. Do we have any iron ore left? No, we do not. I got two choices then, don't I? Either I replace all the sandbags and start salvaging, which is my possibly preferred option here, or I build more sandbags and I go and mine another load of iron with the goose and butterball. Because to really get this place looking complete, I'm going to need probably a few thousand plates for all of these beams on the roof and all of the extra pieces back here. going to need to weld up all of these blast door blocks. And speaking of blast door blocks, how on earth did this disappear? What the I don't know. Clearly it got damaged, but how? How? Anyway, we'll have to replace that one too. So I'm going to need a lot. Probably looking at 5,000 at least, and I do not have enough iron for that. I think my preferred way to try and deal with this problem is to get the grinder pit fully functional and see how many plates I can build up by grinding down all of that salvage that's out there. Rather than continuing to collect more things. I think that's the way to go. And it will hopefully clear up a bit of the mess around the base and make things a bit nicer from that point of view. So I think that might be the way we go first. We replace all the sandbags, make sure that we're well and truly clear, and then do all of the salvage. But there is a little upgrade that I want to make to the design first to try and make it a bit safer to retract the pistons. And what I'm planning here is this is going to be the stairway to access this accessway. And then I'm going to put another means to access through here down in behind the pistons. And it'll pop through there. There we go. Nice. So what I was thinking, and oh, looks like a few people were right. There was some damage done to these during that little test before. Someone also pointed out that part of the reason I had some stone at the bottom of the butterball was that it probably collected that stone and ejected it. It was probably the stone that I'd been picking up from down here. All those little bits that get behind the piston, get behind the grinder wall, can get things stuck and do damage. So, if I were to place some grinders like this, I would grind them as I reversed. Now, that would work well. So what I'm going to do is place one here, and one here. And I need some way to make sure that the bottom grinders are connected to the top. So I'm also going to do this. And maybe I shouldn't be doing this in a way that looks interesting and should just do it in a way that's functional, but I want to do both. So that one will go like that. We've got now that one linked to the top. Then we will link this one to the middle. And then over here, we'll go top and there. There we go. Now we got pipes all over the place in a nice pretty jumble. But if we look at it, the bottom row can get up to the top via that pipe. Can also get up to the top by going there to there, then through the welders and up into there, then up via that one, up via that one. Yeah, so there's redundancy. That's the logic behind it. It's not just because I wanted to have a jumble of pipes to make it look like a refinery that I don't know where everything goes. It's not that at all. And then what I'll do is I'll place some grinders sideways like this on the back row so that we've got all 5 rows covered, and have them connected up with curved conveyor tubes from each side. And that should make it a little bit safer as the grinder wall reverses. Fortunately, because these are all the same grid as the grinders, they won't grind down these curved conveyor tubes or anything like that. They would, if I put any flooring down, grind it because it's a separate grid, even if it's a subgrid. But that should help protect some of what we've got around here from being damaged, which would be very useful. Very nice. What I also want to set up is a sensor down here. So what I want is a sensor that is going to pick up when these return to their resting position, because that will open the roof and turn the grinders off. Unlike before, because we want the grinders grinding as they return back here, I will have to change my sensor setup so that it only turns on when they enter that area and then turns off when it gets all the way back here. So we'll set that up now as well. The other convenient thing about having access to down here is I can then use it for setting up timers, sensors, and other things that we might want around the place. And I'm only going to do this sort of in a temporary fashion. If we pop our sensor, why can't I place that? Weird. Okay, I can place it there now. That's the wrong button. Oops. Definitely didn't mean to do that. Oh, now I can place it. Okay, good. Place our sensor. Must have been a tiny bit of voxel that was blocking its cube. This sensor, well, if we show on hard, info, show sensors field range, we are going to left extent, small as possible, right extent, small as possible, bottom extent, small as possible, top, same again, back, same again, and front. Let's go right down to 1, and then we're going to just increase it enough that it'll pick up this subgrid. So we'll set that up to 3. 3 should allow it to pick it up. And now we are going to detect players off, detect subgrids on. And we are going to set up your actions. But we need to add those extra grinders to our grinder pit grinders. Control click on all of these, save, select those, show block and terminal off. Toggle off on entry to the sensor range. So that will turn the grinders off as they return here, which is perfect. And they'll remain on as they retract. Ooh, I wanted it to open the doors as well. So I'm going to need a timer. Because if we have a timer, we can then have it do both the grinder and the doors on the same command. I'm not going to have an auto on for the grinder pit, because ideally what I would like to do is dump a few items in here and then grind them all at once. So I'll still need to have something set up so that I can push a button to extend the pistons. And that, with our current setup, could simply be an actual just button, so I don't have to hop into a cockpit. In fact, I might do that. Let's grind this down. And let's set up a button panel. Much cheaper, and we want groups first. Grind a bit pistons, we'll have extend, and we'll have retract. And I suppose as an emergency thing we should probably have grinders on and off. But now we should just be able to go dunk. And then when these reach the end, I think I might have missed a block when I was welding. Nope, it looks like it got damaged. Alright, let's retract this and see if the auto off works. Should really have a timer so that when I start extending it, the doors close, since that's clearly missing. Oh, I've still got that sensor set up to turn the drat. Okay, grinders are on. Let's retract. And grinders are still on. Grinders are off, and we didn't lose any wall. Perfect. Alright, so a couple of things. We need to build that other timer block so that we can get our, oh that's right, I gotta go through here. Come on, fit. We need to set up our other timer block so that the door actually opens and closes properly. And looks like both of those got a little damaged. Grinders seem okay though. And I think I'm going to slow down the pistons as well. it may give me that extra little bit of time to do something if all hell is breaking loose with them, which is something that is probably going to happen at some point. There we go, second timer, this timer. So we are going to close those doors and we are going to extend those pistons. So these pistons, we're going to slow them down to minus 0.2. Maybe we'll go even slower, 0.1. I'm going to go and collect a few of the sandbags. I'm going to start with the ones near the base. The ones down by the mine are far enough away that they shouldn't cause me any problems collecting scrap. So we're not getting attacked from this direction at the moment. So maybe, although there is something flying up there. Trying to decide which ones to do first. I'm going to grab this one that's over here. I'm going to try and grab all the ones that are around the salvage areas so that we can do the salvage as soon as possible. I really, really, really want to get the number of grids around here cut down. Did you just shoot the ugly duckling? You came very close to doing that. Whoa! Okay. That happened. Is the ugly duckling okay? Oh. I think I just used... In fact, I definitely just used the sandbag as a bumper. Wow. I can't believe I got so lucky then. Holy moly. My heart is pounding. I thought for a second, for sure, I had done something horrible to the ugly duckling. And no one would forgive me for that. Stop shooting stuff! I suppose this is another advantage of having them be able to be remotely controlled, is when moving them around, I can switch them off so they don't shoot everything. Okay. Drop you down the hole. That was somewhat unceremonious. Let's go grab another one. Let's go grab ones from up on this area up here. I'm going to actually grind down this one before it even gets used. Since I think it's easier to just reprint the whole thing than to go out and manually upgrade these ones, even the ones that are mostly ready to go. So I'm going to try grinding down 2 sandbags at once. See how that works out. A little bit of a test as to whether I could grind down multiple pieces of salvage at once. Okay. And unceremoniously dump you. Oh, it just barely fits through the hole. Okay. I am going to set this down and we're going to try grinding down this one. I'm going to use the spectator cam again because I haven't yet set up the camera. But I would like to... Oh, I must have damaged something. Probably shouldn't have dumped it quite so unceremoniously. Oops. It's a bit wasteful. Let's see how they work pushing these into the corner themselves. They might be too big actually. Hopefully this won't create too many small parts that go flying out throughout the base. Have we seen any fly out yet? Yep, here we go. This is exactly what was happening. It's completely closed, yet we ended up with a piece up here. Any others about the place? It's a somewhat destructive way of grinding things. Especially as stuff gets flung around. It does look pretty though. Let's turn some lights on and see what's going on at the back. So these are all those extra bits. Let's see how these grinders work when we retract. I mean, a few bits and pieces are probably going to end up all the way back here where I can't really do anything about them. But that's a small price to pay. I may be able to build some degree of slope here to try and feed them back down to where these grinders will be, but the challenge will be putting them in such a position that they force them to fall back down, but also don't get ground down by the grinders as they come back in. It looks like this one got damaged again. Maybe I didn't get rid of the right bit. It's a very fiddly sort of thing to set up. And it is something I haven't played around with a great deal, so all of my different trials are very much things I'm trialing right now. But that did make it retract more smoothly, which is good. Got a few bits of scrap here, but not too much. Got these bits that are stuck down here, which, oh well. If I just turn trash cleanup on, those are the sorts of bits that should get cleaned up. Doors open. I could go down here and I can clean up. If I set this up in such a way that I try and grind down multiple things at once, doing the cleanup won't be quite such a pain because I'll only be cleaning up every now and then. So if I drop a whole bunch of salvage down here at once rather than doing piece by piece by piece, then cleaning up the mess won't be quite so onerous. Oh, I got a stinging adversary coming in. I was just debating whether I take a risk and try and remove all of the sandbags at once, and that just answered my question. No, don't take the risk. Don't be an idiot, Splitsie. Just weld up a few of them, replace the ones you've ground down, and do it piece by piece. Will make a lot more sense and it'll be a lot safer. Because the other ones got damaged so badly when I just dumped them straight in the hole, I might place this a bit more gently. Probably won't be quite so... Whoops. I might place this a bit more gently. Smack! Good job, Splitsie. Great job. Oh, man. That was just shocking. Ugh. I don't have the words for how hopeless that moment then just was. Aww. Let's try and get as many of these replaced so that we can start this salvage. I really want... So, unfortunately, didn't really complete the plans that I was hoping to today. My plan now is just to get these deployed in such a way that I can start bringing the salvage in at the beginning of next episode. Which is actually kind of exciting, as I would really like to get to that stage. Let's just check if I did set this up correctly. Turrets off. Ooh! Reds! Turrets on! Reds go away. Yeah! The destruction of salvage. I love it. Dang it. I feel like we're in a really good spot for producing lots of sandbags now, though. The only thing I can do to make it better will be to build a printer, which is in the plans. I am just trying very hard not to add new tasks that are half completed. I really want to get a few of my halfway done ideas completed entirely, so that we're not adding more and more and more scaffolding to the base. That is the plan at the moment. So this grinder pit was part of getting that sorted out, because I needed it so that I could clear out all of the grids around the base. It was the first step, and then after it I'm going to get on to making everything feel a bit more of a home in here, because that will give us what we need in order to, well, start doing some really cool stuff, like attacking again. So how many more sandbags do we have to replace over this side? We've got that one there, and that one over there. Once they're done, I can actually salvage everything on this side, because those beacons over there, they're far enough away that they wouldn't get in range. Oh, that's what I should be doing. Haha. I need a turret on-off for the base. So we'll do that while we're waiting for the ugly duckling to recharge. In fact, I might even have what I need. Let's hop into static grid, terminal, timer. I think I do. Because I built some extras in there. And let's enjoy the elevator music while I set this up. I was lucky that I had those extra timer blocks. And I'm going to be ending up using a... What? Was that even a sentence? I'm going to end up using a lot of timer blocks is what I was trying to say with that garbled nonsense. Alright, come on. Hopefully that's enough that the ugly duckling's got at least like 25%. Yeah, that'll do. I reckon you'll be able to fly with this. Oh, come on. Come on. Oh, no, no, no! Bad. Oh! Dang it, I should have turned them off. Oh well, I just wasted a few parachutes, but that's all it's got, so that's fine. That was really bad timing for that. I just figured the quickest thing for me to do was just let them get destroyed. It's much cheaper to replace some parachutes than it is to replace the whole ugly duckling. Not to mention the pain of losing it. Oh yeah. Recharge. Done it. That was a little bit terrifying. Okay, so let's grind down those. Hopefully this time with less damage to everything in there. But we'll grind down those bits. We will, next time, be all ready to go to collect some salvage over this side. Since I see no markers there. HUD's going to be so much clearer. I should really turn off that hunting cabin marker. So I don't need those on. Look at that. Once I replace those two, and then the ones down by the mine, I'll be good. So for next time, the plan. We'll see how much we actually get done of it. But I feel like I'm following my plans a little bit better now. Ooh, let's jump in there and watch this while I chat. So next time the plan will be to start some of that salvage and hopefully get enough bits and pieces together that we can start, well, at least make some good progress on building the final pieces for the grinder pit area. So the control room and the extra improvements that I want to make on the area around here. Because I want to make this bit feel complete, much like the ticks area feels complete, even though there are a couple of little pieces I still have yet to do. So there's that, and plenty more grinding to come. And I mean the good kind of grinding, like what we're watching, not the bad kind of grinding. So I'll see you then.